Hi there everybody, it's your intrepid leader today, Pearl Moon, textile artist, doing my inaugural video. So I'm going to be a bit nervous, but if you could just bear with me and perhaps give me some feedback over the next few days, I'm sure that once I get a bit more experience at this, things will vastly improve. Now what I've got laid out here before you at the moment is my current work in progress. This is going to be a long version of the Zambeesi jacket, a coat actually, that I've been commissioned to make. And I wanted to discuss some of the textile embellishment techniques I'm using in this jacket. Today it's going to be necessarily a fairly brief overview, but in the future, as I go on to do more and more videos for you, I hope, I can show you more detail about the process. So this is the back of the jacket. Up here I've got a large motif, which is one of the embroidered pieces that the client sent me. She sent me a large stack of things she collected over time that she wanted me to use in this coat. So I've utilised that through the back panel of the jacket. On this side is a gorgeous piece of upholstery textile, and I've done a bit of screen printing on here. On the other side is some linen. Now this linen was just this plain beige, and as you can see I've added some prints to this. This is one of my very favourite stencils, this beautiful big fleur-de-lis. So I've stenciled the fabric before making it up. I don't always do it that way. Sometimes I stencil on the finished garment. So to apply that stencil there, I've used a foam roller on the fabric filled with paint and just rolled over that to put the image on the textile. And I've combined that with another one here. So I've done that print initially up there, then I've turned it around and done that print down here. When those have dried out, I've then taken this other stencil and just put it carefully in these areas around there. Okay, so once the stencils were applied and dried out and set and all of that, I cut out that side of the back of the jacket and stitched up the jacket, and then I've done this decorative running stitch all around, well, not all around, but in places around the stencil. I'm just going to lift this up a little closer to the camera in the hope that you can see more of that detail where it's been emphasized with the running stitch. And on the upper part of the stencil here, I've done something even more elaborate. Okay, so how that upper piece was done was by placing a piece of this organza over the stencil thus, and then I've stitched through all the layers so that I then get that lovely sort of shadow effect with the organza. Oh, please excuse my hands today. They're really horrid. I've been dyeing. It's not that I'm dirty or gardening. I've been dyeing today. Dyeing some garments black, some textiles black. Okay, so that was the back of the jacket, where it's at so far. And I've started work on the two fronts. There we are. Okay, so those are the fronts. On this panel over here, I've done the same no, not that stencil. I've done this stencil again. Same technique, overlaying the transparent organza and stitching both layers with running stitch. And on the upper part of the coat over here, once again, some more of that favourite stencil. This is just this area so far. I haven't done any additional stitching or sewing over that. I might just leave that as it is, I think. Okay, so these motifs down here, these leaves, these are also from another mark making technique that I use. This is a rubber stamp that I've hand carved from a piece of very soft rubber. And this is a paper, just a paper version of that same. Okay, so here's a piece of textile stamped. First, I actually use it as what I call a pressure plate. So it's used underneath the textile, and I roll over it with the paint-filled roller. And I get these very naive prints that are a little bit, they're not as perfect or as detailed as a stencil. They're a bit sort of rough, but I quite like that look often. So that was one piece, experimental piece I did. And then this next piece, which is also on a sheet, a polycotton sheet, I cut the motifs out. Okay, so these were the leaf motifs that were stamped and printed on here. And then I've cut the individual ones out to use on the jacket here. I actually felt that that yellow was too bright, so I turned them over and used them on the more dull side. Okay, so these motifs were then stitched with a zigzag stitch onto the jacket. And I've got another half dozen more of these little motifs, so I'll use them in various other places around the jacket as it progresses. So that's it for today. I'm only about a third of the way through this coat, so I'll be updating you every few days as I progress, and probably in about 1 to 2 weeks you'll get to see the finished garment.
Hi there, it's only me.
Bye now.